Fox News alert now. They worked on keeping it quiet for 68 days. President Biden and his personal team of lawyers had a collection and were cherry picking what the public would be allowed to know about all the classified documents found in the president's personal spaces. The administration's silence on all of this, though, during that time while they were going through stuff and collecting documents, is raising a lot of questions about a cover-up. I'm Harris Faulkner. You are in the Faulkner Focus. They are still stonewalling journalists and the public with questions that we want answers to. For instance, how did the documents get to all those different locations? Who was moving those documents around for years? How many people could have seen them? What exactly is in them? Could there be more documents coming? No answers, but this question.
Is President Biden involved in a cover-up?
We've been very clear here from this administration. The president has been very clear that he takes this very seriously when it comes to classified information. Any other underlying questions that you may have, I would refer you to my colleagues, the White House counsel. I'm going to continue to be prudent. I'm going to continue to be consistent and refer you to any questions you have there.
House and Senate Republicans officially requesting now the Secret Service list of visitors to the president's Wilmington, Delaware home. Remember, the White House says it doesn't keep a log. And then Fox News, a source told us, oh, but the Secret Service does. If Congress asks, we'll give it over. The FBI and the president's team both found documents at that house in Wilmington. The House Oversight and Judiciary Chairman asked the White House counsel for information on all that classified material. The response was pretty much stand by. Quote, we are reviewing your recent letters with the goal of seeking to accommodate legitimate oversight interests within the committee's jurisdiction while also respecting the separation of powers. We look forward to engaging in good faith, end quote. Wow, that's one heck of a pause button they're trying to push there. One Republican worries this is the tip of the iceberg.
Well, first, I cleaned my garage. I don't know. Look, I think the most concerning point is that the president appears to be a disorganized slob that doesn't even know where his stuff is. This could be a never-ending story of confidential files sitting all across the country and that's very important. So you have to get that under control. But again, it has to start from the top. So he ain't really leading by example.
Whew, fire there. The president's own political party has had it. One headline today, Democrats turn on Biden over classified documents controversy. Peter Doocy is live for us at the White House. Peter, the latest.
Harris, the latest is that White House officials are signaling President Biden still intends to give it a go in 2024, even though they acknowledge they are in uncharted territory.
Is there a precedent for people running for president after FBI agents search their sock drawer?
It sounds like you already know that the answer to that question.
We don't have answers as to how President Biden managed to export classified materials to his house as a senator, or why it is that the White House waited so long to go public about these documents at the same time they claim they were just inadvertently misfiled.
I want to know why the press wasn't told about this event days before the 2022 election. They had found out that there were classified information in Biden's home days before the 2022 election, and they sat on it. That's what I want to understand. And if you come to my house, you'll find Chick-fil-A bags all over the floor, but you're not going to find any classified information.
White House officials have responded to one of the letters they got from the House Oversight Committee chairman, writing that they will talk soon about cooperating with legitimate oversight requests. It sounds like White House officials will be the ones deciding what they think is legitimate and what is not. To date, the president's personal lawyers have been running the show.
When you found out that the FBI had located even more classified materials in Wilmington, which four-letter word did you use?
Oh, my goodness, Peter.
And she probably couldn't have said it on TV. Anyway, we do expect another press briefing with Jean-Pierre in about 2.5 hours. Harris.
Look, I know it wasn't the hardest news of the whole piece, but that line from Senator Graham, if you go to his house, you'll find bags of Chick-fil-A all over the place. That's all you'll find.
And I've been to a Chick-fil-A in South Carolina with Lindsey Graham, so he's probably telling the truth.
Wow, look at that. First experience there. I love it. I love their nuggets. Thank you.
Yep.
Questions also over a double standard of justice. Many say the DOJ has treated President Biden with kit gloves, of course. A far cry from how they handled President Trump's document scandal. Attorney General Merrick Garland also insisting the department is blind to any political party affiliation.
The department has a set of norms and practices. These are essential for us to continue. They ensure that we adhere to the rule of law. These mean, among other things, that we do not have different rules for Democrats or Republicans, different rules for the powerful or the powerless, different rules for the rich or for the poor. We apply the facts and the law in each case in a neutral, nonpartisan manner.
Welcome to Biden's world, where everybody's under pressure. Pete Hegseth, co-host of Fox and Friends Weekend. Boy, I tell you, the closer you are to the president, the more you're feeling the heat.
Oh, for sure, right now. And when you look at the origins of this, was it nefarious? Was it sloppy? Was it dumb? Ultimately, were they targeted? But again, by political opponents who knew that they were either compromised or sloppy or dumb and had classified documents at the Penn Biden Center and at their house and therefore leaked it. But it's the cover-up, Harris, as we've talked about before, orchestrated very poorly from the podium, as bad as I've ever seen it, that kicks more fire on the flame, or wood on the fire. It creates more smoke so that the press, who's already frustrated that they haven't been told the truth, asks more questions and even more questions and even more questions. And then we learn that the agency is effectively, and Merrick Garland said what he said because he has to say that. But the reality is the FBI and DOJ targeted Donald Trump to prevent him from running for office. And it backlashed on them at Mar-a-Lago. And they're treating what's happening with Joe Biden as a protection racket so that he can run for office in the future by coordinating with his lawyers and creating every opportunity for them to get on the off-ramp. But they haven't been, because they were so sloppy or nefarious or bad with the documents. We still don't know, Harris, if there are other documents in other places and from what time frame. And the DOJ and FBI seems happy to take the word of Biden's lawyers, which is why it does feel like it's so much different than what happened to Donald Trump.
Well, look, unless the FBI is paying those personal attorneys, they shouldn't be taking anybody's word but their own investigators in the DOJ.
No.
I mean, that's their job. Unless they're, getting paid. And if they are, that would be our money. So maybe we go deeper. I don't think they are, but what else would be the reason for why at this point you don't tap every place he's ever been since he left office as a senator 15 years ago, since you know some of the latest documents date back to then? Why aren't you now going every place he's been? And by the way, who else has been with all those papers? Maybe you have 1,000 places you need to go now, depending on how many hands touched them.
Yeah, I mean, he is the president of the United States, which does create complications, but it also increases the urgency. If the top man in the job handled classified documents this flippantly for that long, why was that the case? Was it really that he didn't know? Because when you take something out of a skiff, if you're a senator, you know exactly what you're doing. You know exactly what you're doing.
You had to sneak it out.
And you're moving it. You had to sneak it out. Or someone gave it to you with the wrong protocol, which you were complicit in. And then you don't even know how many you have, and you've clearly hidden them from the public. You're the president of the United States, as was stated earlier by Governor Sununu. If at the very top there's no accountability, why should there be for Christian Saucier, the submariner who took photos in a submarine and didn't even show them to anybody, just had them, and they wanted to throw away the key on the guy? That's the two tiers of justice that exist. This is going to haunt the Biden campaign should he try to run, because this connects dots to Hunter. This connects dots to foreign interference or the foreign influence. And if anyone in the press outside of this network actually does any homework, the smoke is right there. The question is, will they do it? And Biden's political opponents know that weakness, and they'll continue to foment it.
Yeah, the worst part so far that legal experts have told me, Pete, is finding the papers or the documents from when he was senator. Because while an old edict by former President Obama might have given cover to Hillary Clinton and potentially this current president when he was VP and took all those papers. The ones he took as senator are more problematic potential than any of them, except for the top secret ones at the Biden Center, you know, that were about Iran and so on and so forth. Those are problematic too. All right. Texas Senator Ted Cruz says the next step in Biden's classified document mess should be yet another search. Speaking my language.
The University of Delaware has more than 1,850 boxes of records from Joe Biden's Senate tenure. The University of Delaware presumably does not have them in a SCIF. It does not have them in a secure location. I am right now calling for the Department of Justice, for the FBI, to examine all 1,850 boxes.
All right, let's just pause there. And I'll get to what you see on the screen in just a second. I want to go back to Pete. Why are there not feds standing outside the University of Delaware right now where there's 1,850 boxes are, 1,850 boxes?
It should be raided right now. It should be raided right now. I mean, it should be in a more urgent way than anything that happened at Mar-a-Lago, because we knew there was Secret Service detail. They knew they were there. He was the president and could declassify them. If there are 1,850 boxes of documents that, if they're there, presumably other people have access to those boxes, unless they're all in a SCIF, which they're not. That raid should happen tomorrow. And where else? There have to be other places at this point. That's why this is a trickle cascading problem for Joe Biden, because there are more boxes, there will be more documents, all of which are violations, many of which probably do emanate from the Senate and cause people to ask even more questions. Ted Cruz is right.
Real quickly, a new report saying that on top of having lax security, visitors to the Penn Biden Center, where the first batch of docs were found, were allowed to wander around unmonitored during an event that focused on greater engagement with China. Look, we'll just leave that right where it sits and let everybody ruminate on that. Oh, my goodness.
Yep.
So people that we have no idea who's been near that information.
Not to mention Hunter's house that he rented back to Joe. Hunter had a lot of dicey friends. Where did they go? How many of them visited?
We don't necessarily know who was driving the Stingray, which meant he had access to the Corvette and where those documents are found at the Wilmington, Delaware home. We don't know. Their faces were digitalized out, the two women with him. Not our business, perhaps, unless suddenly it's important for us to know. All right, let's get to this. A reminder that Pete is hosting the Miseducation of America. I'm going to brag on him a little bit because this is such a hot topic and it's so important. He takes a deep dive into efforts by liberals in this country to push a woke education agenda, something we will talk more about just later this hour. Season 2 just popped. It's available right now, streaming on Fox Nation. Pete Hegseth, always great to have you in focus, and we'll tune in on the Fox Nation website and app as well.
Thank you, Harris.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.